again is Maria Bartiromo with a special edition of Mornings with Maria, live from the Forum on Leadership at the George W. Bush Presidential Library in Dallas.
Welcome back. I am coming to you live in Dallas this morning at the George W. Bush Presidential Center, which kicks off its Forum on Leadership today. It is also, however, a sad day for the country, as the country and the world is mourning this morning First Lady Barbara Bush after she died yesterday at her home in Houston at the age of 92. Joining me right now in a Fox Business exclusive is President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush. Good to see you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much for being here, Mr. President, Mrs. Bush. My condolences to you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. There's a lot of condolences pouring in, and Laura and I and our entire family are very grateful for people's prayers and sympathies. It's it's the end of a beautiful life.
It was an incredible life, a life well lived, but it's never easy. I know that. And, you know, all of the comments this morning about your mother are about how warm and wonderful and what a leader she was, but also tough as nails.
Yeah. Well, she was warm and wonderful till you got out of line. And she wasn't too warm and wonderful. No, she was awesome.
She was funny and fierce and said her mind. She was a great role model for me, for sure. I learned how to be a first lady.
I was just going to say, I was reading that when you were first lady, it was easier for you than it would have been because you had your mother-in-law.
I had my mother-in-law, and of course I'd watched her the whole time she was first lady, and when she campaigned with President Bush. So and I actually had the conversation with her early on when he first started to run that she would work on literacy. That she thought that was the most important. And if everyone could read and write, a lot of problems would be solved.
And you picked up that and kept running with it. Mm-hmm. Literacy, education for women, and did so much for women.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks.
And Mr. President, let me ask you, I know that you saw this coming. We know that Mrs. Bush said that she did not want any more medical attention and she wanted her comfort care. But were you able to say goodbye?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in person and then on the phone. Laura and I went over to see her a week ago Saturday, and we had a wonderful visit. She was strong, lucid.
Funny, still.
Funny. She and I were needling each other, and the doctor came in, and she turned to the doctor and said, "You want to know why George W. is the way he is?" And the doctor looked somewhat surprised. She said, "Because I drank and smoked when I was pregnant with him."
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, she's funny. And I had a beautiful visit with her when it looked like yesterday morning on the phone. And she didn't say much, but I told her I loved her. And here's the thing. She had great faith. She truly believes that there's an afterlife, that she'll be wonderfully received in the arms of a loving God, and therefore did not fear death. And as a result of her soul being comforted on the deathbed, my soul is comforted.
Wow. And you wrote an op-ed after Billy Graham died.
Yeah.
And I read that, and you mentioned a dinner that you had at the White House with your mother.
That's right.
And tell us about that.
Well, so Mother and I, we occasionally would argue. Not argue, we just had
debate.
Debate.
That's a good word.
Different opinions. And we were having a theological discussion, and I was basically saying what the New Testament said about going to heaven, and Mother said, "What about her friend, Mustafa?" And I don't know, and we went back and forth. So she decided, I'm going to call Billy Graham.
And she was the first lady, so she could.
Yeah, and did. And Billy's on the phone, and so we explained the issue, and he finally said, "Look, you two, I agree with the New Testament, but I want to remind you two, you don't get to play God."
There you go.
Pretty good lesson for today, by the way.
It really is. And I know that Mrs. Bush, when we talked about when you were getting ready to become First Lady, and she was there, but it was also about family. It wasn't just about her love and service to our country, but look at the legacy she leaves behind with your grandchildren.
That's right.
And your children and your girls' children.
Exactly. And she was really a wonderful grandmother to Barbara and Jenna. She took them on a trip, especially by themselves to Italy. She really did a lot of special things with them. She was not that much older than George and I are. I think she was just 20, maybe, or 21 when George was born. So she had a lot of years. as a young grandmother to get to be with her grandchildren.
I love the fact that she was married to your father for 73 years.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, he was by her side, by the way, when she passed.
He said that.
Which is sweet, yeah.
And we have a love letter that he wrote to her that we have been talking about this morning from World War II in 1943, penned by your father, and it's going viral this morning, obviously. And it says, it reads in part, "This may sound melodramatic, but if it does, it is only my inadequacy to say what I mean. Bar, you have made my life full of everything I could ever dream of. My complete happiness should be a token of my love for you." Were they just sort of just like a love affair all the time? I mean, in
it seemed that way, you know.
They really were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
it was a great example.
So here's the thing: we've got this leadership forum here, and my mother would say, "Make darn sure that you participate fully in the leadership forum." And you know, in other words, don't sit around and feel sorry for me or yourself. More importantly.
Yeah.
But move on with life, and that's what we're doing. And we thank you for being down here, because this Bush Institute is very important to us, and we've got some programs that we think are very transformative and helpful for the future of the country.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because we